London, 1814. A quiet afternoon, shattered by a thunderous blast. A wave towering over 15 feet high raced through the streets. Not of water, but beer. 1,000,000 liters of it. This is the unbelievable true story of the Great London Beer Flood. London, in the early 19th century, ran on alcohol. Beer wasn't just a drink. It was often safer than the city's filthy water. And breweries weren't isolated industrial sites. They stood right in the heart of crowded neighborhoods. At the Meux Company Brewery stood colossal fermenting vats, giant wooden barrels more than 20 feet tall, each holding over 600,000 liters of dark porter. The pressure inside was immense, yet these giants were held together only by wooden planks and iron hoops that groaned under the strain. On October 17th, one of those iron hoops snapped. Workers hardly reacted. It wasn't the first time they'd heard that noise. No alarms. No evacuation. Just another day at the brewery. But this time, it wasn't routine. The weakened vat couldn't contain the pressure. It burst open violently, and the shockwave shattered a second vat beside it. 2 enormous containers exploded within seconds. Over 1,000,000 liters of beer detonated outward, blasting through thick brick walls, and forming a massive wave that thundered down Tottenham Court Road. Witnesses said it sounded like a cannon barrage. The flood roared straight towards St. Giles, one of London's poorest, most overcrowded districts. Families lived in cramped cellar rooms, the worst possible place to be, when a wall of liquid came crashing in. The wave tore through homes, smashing timber walls and sweeping people off their feet. Furniture, barrels, and debris swirled together in a chaotic torrent of beer and mud. In an instant, the neighborhood was devastated. 8 people lost their lives, mostly women and children trapped in basement rooms. For them, there was no escape. Their homes flooded in moments. Neighbors rushed into the destruction, forming human chains to dig survivors from the rubble. They battled collapsing floors, rising beer, and the overwhelming smell of alcohol filling the air. But in another strange twist, some Londoners arrived with buckets, trying to salvage the beer pouring through the streets. A surreal blend of tragedy and absurdity. Public outrage grew quickly. How could a brewery storing millions of liters of porter stand beside family homes with no safety measures at all? People demanded justice, but the court delivered a stunning verdict. The disaster was ruled an act of God. No one was held responsible. Not the brewery, not the owners. Nothing changed. Ironically, the biggest financial blow hit the brewery itself. Not from lawsuits, but from taxes. The government refused to refund the enormous beer tax on the product that had just flooded the streets. Cleanup lasted for months. The smell of stale beer lingered in the stones of St. Giles, long after the water subsided. Slowly, life returned to the neighborhood. To many, the beer flood is remembered as a strange, amusing footnote in history. But beneath that odd story lies a harsher truth. A rapidly industrializing city, advancing far faster than its safety regulations. London was a powder keg, and this time it was beer that ignited it. Behind the headlines were real families, their lives upended by a completely preventable disaster. The beer flood wasn't simply bizarre. It was a human tragedy born from neglect, poverty, and the dangerous machinery of an industrial age. The Great Beer Flood remains one of history's strangest and most misunderstood catastrophes, not caused by nature, nor war, nor plague, but by the everyday workings of a brewery, in a city unprepared for the consequences. This is the forgotten story of the 1814 London beer flood, a reminder that even the most ordinary things can become unimaginable disasters. This is Lost Ledger.